everyone, Gigs here. Today I have decided to show you the zombie grinder that I've got set up behind me that is making all those zombies wiggle and shake and turn into drowns, just so you can see the difference with the water mechanics and your grinders going forward in 1.13. Well, 1.132. So I brought you down into my little skelly area in a world that I can go spectator in, so I can float in there and show you what the differences are between the current grinders and the one that I've got set up there. So let's pop into spectator and I'm just a floaty little head. That is kind of weird, but okay. Sorry, I get sidetracked. Please excuse the sniffles if you hear them. It's hay fever season and I'm just a little bit sniffly today. So if we pop into here, you can see that it is just a standard little zombie spawner in here. You can see that I've got a, did I say zombie? Zombie spawner. You can see he is stuck there. He has probably got depth strider on his boots, which is annoying. Eventually he will float on down, or not. Looks like he may have been there a while. He's hanging on to his zombie flesh. With the changes to the water mechanics, the annoying thing with these guys is that occasionally they will get stuck on water edges there. He could be stuck on that edge there. The reason I've got this edge there is because I was making a pretty pattern, and in order to get my pattern to look right I needed to make it this size, and yeah, anyway, I'm a girl, what can I say. So with my grinders in 1.13, I now have it that they float over to here. I have a water source block here and it pushes them along to here, and this very last one is, it should be blue ice. Looks like it may not be. Blue ice is new in 1.13 for the Java edition. I think Bedrock had it before. It will spawn naturally in icebergs at the bottom of them. You don't get huge numbers of it, but you do get it. Otherwise you can actually craft it by using standard ice, which you can then craft into packed ice, and you craft the packed ice into blue ice, and the blue ice just makes things run a little bit smoother. The reason I have the ice there is the hope that as the zombies come swishing along here and they land on the ice, then they'll carry on into the little bubble elevator there. So yeah, so they'll come along there. You'll get the occasional one that'll sit here on the ice, but his buddies, when they come along, will just give him a slight tap and he'll go shooting on up. These are all water source blocks. See there, I was doing a little bit of my work access ladder. When I first did this, because there was no hacked clients, I had it all set up so I could see the zombies to make sure it was all working okay. So I had a little bit of access up there. Also the first snapshots were a bit buggy and mobs were getting stuck all sorts of places. So the reason I have signs all the way here rather than just part way, so a couple of signs and then solid blocks there, is because what I found was that they would get stuck here, because they would only go part way into here and then they would get stuck going up, and not having a waterlogged sign next to these wasn't allowing the soul sand bubbles to completely go all the way up. So That's why we've got the signs all the way up there. Every single one of these has to be a water source block. So you start out by placing your soul sand down, and then water source, water source, water source, water source. I'll pop myself into, I want to go into survival. I think we'll go into creative. This will work. So you'll see that they'll spawn here, they'll float along to, I've got depth strider boots on, that doesn't help. They'll float along and plonk over the top, and then they'll come down here onto the ice, and then up they go. That water over there then comes around and pushes them over here. Now you could make this shorter, so if you didn't want that to be quite as long, you could make it ending, say, here, and then just plop a sign here, which will stop the water from flowing over the edge. But I have got it going the full way, and then they just drop down into here. You can see now with these guys down here, because I've got a water source block there, they won't be taking any water damage. Sorry, any fall damage. So they will take a little bit more to kill. You could make that a probably more efficient system by removing the water source from being there all the time, allowing the zombies to go down there and take the fall damage, and then have a dropper put your water out to then convert them into drowned. So that is another way of doing that. Yeah, he's definitely got Death Strider for him to be able to keep on going up there. So that is, you can see how quickly they sort of, now here's one that is going to get stuck there, so when he has another buddy spawn, we can just try to push this guy all the way down. Let's see if we should go down there. Go down, go down. Oh, he already went up himself anyway. But he would have pushed him along and gone up there. So yeah, so every so often you will get one that just sort of sits there, and the next one that comes along will push him over, and that's not going to impact your spawn rates too much. You do get this occasionally as well, but they do eventually drop off over the side. There you go, you see he went there. So it's a little bit of slight hesitation, but they do eventually flow through. Let's just get ourselves out of here. Into here, and so you'll see again these guys, they're not too bad. They're still dying fairly quickly with a god sword, so it didn't take too much sword to get rid of them. But again, that water source block there, you can also remove so that you're only getting the zombies after that. You would have noticed that I don't have a way of filtering out the baby zombies, so any baby zombies that come along will still go up your water spout there, and they will end up in here. That's not a big issue because I've got only a half block gap there, so they can't come through. They won't convert into drowned because obviously they're going to be too short to get their head hit into that water source block. However, you can still kill them and get your XP and bits and pieces, which is not so bad. But essentially that is your grinders with the new water mechanics. So converting your current grinders is going to be fairly simple and straightforward. All you're needing to do is change your water sign, water sign, water sign scenario to putting these signs here and your soul sand and all sorts of blocks there, and it's done and dusted. The only thing I would say that you do need to be careful of, and I don't really want to play around with this too much, because once you've already made these, they can get a bit... These guys are stuck up there. Why are they stuck up there? Why are you guys stuck there? So we've got a little bit of a jam there. I haven't noticed this in the world that I did in the setup I did in my 1.14 grinder. I don't find that they get stuck at all. I imagine again this is this guy with depth strider. He looks like he's the one that is... Oh, I just turned myself into... I imagine that he is the one that is causing that little bit of a jam up. You can see they're slowly pushing him along. So eventually this this will clear. But definitely any mobs with depth strider are a pain in the butt to deal with. So there they go. Easy peasy. Again, he's hanging off the top there, but eventually he will drop down. So the only one thing, sorry, I got sidetracked with them being stuck up there. One thing you do need to be mindful of is the way that you set up your water coming along here to push your zombies across. You actually can't put the water here and have it flowing across, because it will just get stuck with this. The mobs will get stuck, because this will turn into another bubble block, and so they won't. So while the water flows there, they won't move beyond here. They'll just stay stuck on this water block. And what you'll find is that if you put your water here, sometimes it will just stay here. It won't go any further. It's like it's almost floating into there. So sometimes you need to not put a water source block here. Place that one there and let it flow, and then place another water source block there just to pop them up. You may not need to do that water source block back in here. You may find they pop straight up and start floating down there, but just something to be aware of. Doesn't have to be off to the side here. You can actually just sort of put it off over to there. I just found that by putting it here, any zombies that popped up and got here, so weren't quite in the flow, because obviously they can just come very partially into so if I go back into creative, you actually don't need to be, oops, what have I done? You actually don't need to be fully in there, so they would come up to here, and if you've got your water flowing there, they would get caught in the water and then get stuck on that edge there. So by having it here, if they come up on the edge here, you can see I'm already being pushed along, they get pushed around the corner a little bit better. So I just found that putting my water flow block there was a lot better than putting it over here. Again, that's sort of I suppose a choice that you can make after doing a little bit of playing around yourself. But that is essentially as easy as it gets. So yes, your current ones that you've built pre-13 1.13 will break, but easy fixes. So thank you very much for joining me on this. I hope that it's helped a little bit and given you a little bit of peace of mind in the way that you're going to be able to convert your grinders. Thank you very much for watching.